Welcome to Status Check with Nicholas J. Orcutt. Today, I actually don't know the date today. Today is July 22nd, 2026. I actually have a special guest today. As you all know, I include, when I have a guest on the show, it's because it's somebody who I usually personally enjoy reading, somebody who their work matters to me. I'm a huge fan of highlighting people whose work matters, who I think their work makes a change, makes a day better for everybody. So, Darby, please feel free to introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Darby Jones. I'm a dad. Somebody just on another live called me Daddy Jones. So it's just another nickname. I've got a million of them. But I just started Substack August of last year. So going on my 1 year anniversary, and things just exploded. I'd say in the last 4 months got kind of crazy. And I have twins, Finn and Fiona, and my wife Melina, and they're a major part of my book that I wrote called Fraternal Youth, and it's about fatherhood fails and all the other tales of raising twins and being a dad and um, life, the universe, and all the weirdness and it's kind of an experimental book in that it's all over the place. It's memoir. It's my ideas about life. It's QR codes with videos and pop culture and home videos and it's a little bit of everything. But it took me 20 years to write, so I'd love it if you checked it out. Maybe after this interview, you'll be interested. But I
Absolutely.
I work for the bank, which nobody believes when they see me. They like, think I'm like this hippie from California, which I've got hippie in my blood. But when I had a family, I had to figure out how to make money, and one thing led me, through marketing and communications to Truist, and so I work for the bank, but I like to see myself as a mole inside the bank. Because I'm able to understand banking now, I'm able to expose the corruption and insider trading and all the stuff that goes along with that. But that's me.
So,
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate your work as well. I've only scratched the surface, but my heart has never pounded so hard. And when I read your piece about CPR, that was intense. So just praise to you and your work. You're doing incredible things.
thank you. One of the things I really want to start out with is giving. I would like you to give an advisory warning to everybody, like you do in your articles, because your advisory warnings. Listen, your advisory warnings are so important, and it's not because of the one giant space laser. It's not because of that. You have a you do something in your advisory warnings that genuinely, like, it lights me up. It makes me so happy. And you say an unregulated level of hope. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I just started that like last week. I put them on all my articles. I went all the way back because one of my friends said that you might be losing some subscribers over this and that. You should look at your engagement metrics to see what articles and things and notes that you're losing people from. And so once I got into that, I was like, oh, I should probably put some advisory notice to warn people. And I just started having fun with it instead of taking it seriously. I just went full goofball, and it really serves as sort of like an outline for my article, so people can just kind of skim it really quick and be like, "Oh, I'm into that," or "I'm not," and but also warn them of some things, some legit stuff. But I try and just be silly with it, and it's become a trademark, I guess now. So thank
well,
you.
I think it does something that I don't think even you really realize. You it sets a tone, right?
Yeah,
So, me and you, we cover a lot of political things that, let's be honest, the political world right now sucks. Um, there's there's not much that's too happy about it, and yet you make sure to come from a you make sure to come from a level where it tells people, you know what, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to be happy. It's
yeah,
not the end of the world. And that is so absolutely important in everything going on right now.
yeah.
Um,
I say some people use humor um, to be insincere, and I like to say I use humor to smuggle um, sincerity past your defenses. Just just break the ice, set the tone, and it lets people know that they can be vulnerable around you when you just fully goofball and you can be stupid. They can be stupid around you as well, and everybody can laugh and have fun.
But I mean, like, consider this, and for those people that have joined us that aren't, haven't read your work, the part that I think stands out of everything you do, you're number 20 on rising humor. I think before I looked at this, you write about the Federal Reserve and geothermal energy, and you're number 20 on humor.
Yeah.
Like, that, sir, that is not how that's supposed to work.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I can't help that I love what I love, but I think there's a way to make politics funny. I mean, look at all the night shows and SNL. I mean, I think, there's a lot of potential out there for people to be doing the same thing. It's a lot to make fun of, you know?
Oh, I agree, and, like, I've always tried to include humor in my work. Unfortunately, I come from a place of it tends to be dark humor, so I have to, like, really be careful how I deliver things. Things I
Actually,
find funny, most people might not.
I'm all about hope, but I thought it would be funny if I took gallows humor and Gary Larson, The Far Side, and mingled his darkness and gallows humor with hope and light. I just thought like my positivity is annoying to a lot of people, so I had to like balance it out with some Far Side. So there's a way to
Yeah,
balance
no,
it.
I actually enjoyed that, because you have, like, you do your good news roundup and everything,
Yeah.
or you just different headlines. Um, yes, I appreciate the cartoons that are on there. Um, but no, it is a testament to a medium, and, Substack, I've said actually out of all the social medias that I after we do this, it will go up on YouTube, and then there will be parts that go on TikTok. Substack's the only medium I go on where I have genuine readers. I have people who will look at things in good faith. It's not people shit posting and trying to insult whatever they can. And I've always seen them as, serious readers or people who are genuinely invested. And you manage to scratch something with people like that is impressive. That's something that, I try to include humor, but, like, the way you do it, it's a humor that's like, "Ha." I'll do humor that's, "Ha, the world might end tomorrow. What should we do tonight?" Yours is, "Ha, the world might end tomorrow, but it'll probably restart after that, so we're good." And
Yeah.
that's the part that's just that's the part to me that is applause worthy. That is genuinely just amazing.
Thank you.
Um
World might end tomorrow, but if it does, what are we gonna do? Can't dwell on it. The only thing that keeps me going is hope, and not just some warm fuzzy feeling, but hope in action. And what I mean is like spreading awareness about it, about the things that are going on in this world that are saving hundreds of thousands of lives. The good, the bad, and ugly of AI, all the aspects and angles of it. The geothermal energy. I'm a big into energy because I think energy is like the nut we have to crack for stability. And stability across nations means there'll be less bombs crossing borders. People are just happy and healthy. There's not as much to fight about. And those energy costs are just you know energy costs and just high costs lead to actual mortality rates. People dying, and so the economy equals life. It's not boring. It's everything. It's life, and so we have to understand these things. And but geothermal, I think, is the next big thing. I'm a speculator. I invest in things, and I could be wrong, but I really do think the new technology in geothermal, specifically the millimeter waves, think microwave waves, They're using this technology that fusion is using to make fusion work, but they borrowed the laser from those guys and are now drilling down into the earth, and actually it makes the earth stronger because it melts the rock into each other. It doesn't grind it and fracture it and create these weaknesses. It melts the rock into each other such that it's actually stronger. Um, and a very small hole, but it can go down many miles in a short period of time, whereas it took years and years to do before with these mechanical bits. Now they're Quaise Energy is the company is speculating that it could take a matter of months.
So
So
you said that's happening in, was it Greenland that that happens in? That they're doing it in?
they're doing it in America. I think somewhere in Utah is the pilot on some dormant volcano where they don't have to drill down as far. Um, Normally it takes several miles, 10 miles, but they only have to go 2 or 3 to get down to the hot rocks where they pour the water down, steam comes up, and it turns the turbines, and they can actually retrofit a lot of like abandoned gas infrastructure and use the same turbines and things, so they don't have to rebuild. They just recycle, create these geothermal plants right there, and you can do it in a city. You have a geothermal site in a city and um,
So
anywhere.
here's a question with speculation and, following the money. We both like that. What are the odds that it would actually be regulated or be allowed to happen with the way the energy industry is now?
Well, they're already doing the pilot, and they've already had to jump through all those hurdles and get through that. So, once they scale it, I'm sure there'll be more regulations as there should be. But I'm hopeful. There's not any of the bad side effects of like say solar. Some places the panels are so hot they can ignite the wings of a bird flying over it or that lands on it. They create these little deserts underneath the panels that kind of destroy the environment around there. You got the wind that is hitting these large endangered birds that fly through them, and all these green energies have pretty negative repercussions. But so far, geothermal doesn't have anything major that all the speculators are looking at. That no major red flags. It's like quote unquote endless heat energy under the sun, and the engineers are saying it would take tens of thousands of years to make a small dent in the temperature of the earth from extracting this heat, like just a very very minuscule infinitesimal difference would take tens of thousands of years, and we don't need tens of thousands of years. We need maybe 50 to 100 years for fusion to work or some other green energy to work. Like we just need something to get us you know to the next technology. And but so far so good. It's looking pretty incredible what it can do. And yeah,
Well,
uh,
I think me and you come from the same place on that, where we're both dads. We both dads of kids. And I think we both can agree. I don't care if it's a green energy. I don't care what they want to label it. If they're going to make something that's going to make the world better for my kids, I'm all for it.
yeah. And you know, just before we went live, we shared some differences that we had politically, and but we're both from the same ilk where we can have conversations with left, right, and everything in between, and get along with people as long as they play nice. And
Yeah, good faith.
but but for all the people who can't play nice because they just haven't, you know, they just can't. I feel like when we crack this energy nut, we're going to go back to, you know, 1940s, 50s era where people could be friends with their neighbors and have different opinions because they could earn a living on one wage and take care of their family. And as long as the family is happy and healthy, it's like we can have different views. But some of these really, polarizing views, they kind of dwindle. They don't matter as much as if we're all afford a meal and to put a roof over our heads, and so
So
that's why I think this is so important for us to get this energy nut cracked.
I like that segue because it kind of brings up something I did want to talk about, and I kind of gave you a hint at this earlier. Um, you did a piece on Calvin Coolidge, which first off, props because I don't think I've ever read a article on Calvin Coolidge.
Nobody has.
Yeah, so I mean, you well deserved respect for that. Your piece though frames my boy FDR, who I will say to the end of the earth, that is the greatest president ever. He framed you as a guy who institutionalized the mess. Um,
So I think what I mean by that is, you have to go back to the economic principle of scarcity. There's just not enough of everything that we want for everybody to have. And I believe a lot of politics and politicians think there's just money grows on trees and everything is available for everybody. And we can say, promise everybody what'll get us elected. But in reality, when you look at the math and the numbers, that could destroy our economy. And you look at how much money the Fed had to print to make FDR's plan work. And the thing that they don't sell you on about all these plans and programs is that slowly over time we don't notice it because it's so slow. Is that our dollar devalues with every dollar printed, and and over the last 100 years, it's devalued 99.6%. And when you calculate that into your wages over a lifetime, a 40-year working career, the average American, according to my buddy over at the Liberty Institution, uh, I can put links, in this live later, but his calculation is we all lose now $2.7 million from our dollar devaluing through printing uh, uh, money. We lost 20% of our purchasing power from COVID alone, just in 5 years. So imagine in 5 years, 20% loss, what 100 years of the same machinery is doing. And so a lot of people don't realize that all these programs and things are slowly degrading um, our life, and but we don't know. We don't notice it. So that's
so
it. Oh, go ahead.
so can I push back a little bit?
Yes.
So I and no, you're not wrong about the way devaluing money goes. Absolutely, the more you print, the less valuable it is.
Yeah.
Um, and I will acknowledge that the Federal Reserve getting rid of the gold standard it hurt the dollar, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, I would say though that the part with FDR that I think not that you're not that it's being undersold. I think the part that almost gets missed is FDR in his economic plan that he had said this is what the cost of doing business in America is, and that's taxes. You're utilizing our resources, our land, our space, our time, our energy. You will pay taxes. And ever since he'd put on I want to say it was like a 90% tax to the top 1%. And they spent the next 100 years through propaganda and, purchasing politicians like, Nixon and Reagan. He spent the next, they've spent almost 100 years now because but that was 1930 something. It's almost 100 years to destroy everything that he tried to do.
Yeah. So what I would say, where are you on the 90% on the wealthiest? Their marginal tax rates. They've been 60, 70, 80, 90% proposed. I mean, I think one country did 100%, which is crazy. But where are you in what that should be and what FDR had planned?
I so realistically for me, I am tax them 90%. I am a 90% tax person because 90% of $1 trillion is $1 billion,
Yeah.
right? Or
So
10% is $1 billion.
So so let's spitball this out, and there's actually some history that we can look to, like this model. We can look back to this and see what actually happened when some of the Nordic countries actually implemented this in the 70s. And so they, like FDR and many people, said, "We'll just tax the rich, and we're going to get lots of money for these programs and the social net." And on the surface, the vision is beautiful. Take care of people. These people are making way more than they ever need, and I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But I think the part that's missing from the equation is greed is a constant. It's like It's like
Yes.
gravity. It's like gravity. So, like, you wouldn't blame gravity for a plane falling out of the sky and crashing. It's just there. It's a constant. We got to figure out our way around gravity. Greed is this constant that just does not go away when you tax the rich at 90%. And so what they end up doing, and the Nordic countries, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, a few of them all kind of follow the same model to different varying degrees. But what they found out in the 70s was that when you tax them at 70% marginal rates, the rich are really good at hiding their money when you do that. They end up going
Mhm.
offshore. They end up hiring a army of lawyers to exploit all the loopholes that they didn't exploit before because they were paying what they thought was a fair rate, what everybody else was paying, and so they have an incredible way of, and then also they'll just quit. They'll just be like, you know what? I'm a millionaire. I'm just going to stop my business because I don't want to pay this amount of taxes. And so now you're losing jobs, or they'll take the jobs across, overseas. It was a mess. It was a massive mess. And even the progressives over there realized that this is going to destroy our economy, and they had to reverse course within, 3, 4, 5 years.
So
Um,
but I'll counter that one. So what was it? It was the tax rates that FDR put in place that were able to get America out of the Great Depression in the first place.
I
It
believe
was
that. I believe that. You're absolutely right, but it
no,
only
so
lasts for a year, 2 or 3, but keep going. I interrupted, sorry.
well, it was the tax rates that did it, and then, of course, and like you said, greed is a constant. That is always gonna be a problem.
Mhm,
Nobody, the old saying, "Nobody gets rich giving away money."
mhm.
Um, so greed is gonna always be a constant. It What happened though is almost so in 19 I wanna say it was 1938 is when FDR died, and this is trying to use my memory, which isn't always the best. The year he died, instantly all these mega rich people started pushing for politicians to go for what their interests were, and it
Mhm.
just started a downfall. But the best times in this country, the 40s, 50s, and I say best times, I we can all acknowledge it wasn't civilly the best times, but economically the best times in this country were when we were taxing the rich at a rate that was fair to the rest of the country. Um, the way it's almost two extremes, right? So it's like, do we tax them too much and then lose whatever, or do we are we held hostage because we're afraid of them threatening this?
Yeah,
I
I think there is a sweet spot, and I think, some economists have figured out, like, there's a law of diminishing returns where you tax them so much, and then they start taking their businesses out of the country, and you start destroying the economy, and that there's a science behind that. I don't know what the sweet spot, what that tax rate is, but um,
I would also challenge that the majority of the ultra rich in this country, and I say ultra rich, the Elon Musk, the Peter Thiels, the majority of them are rich because of tax dollars. It's our taxes that are paying them.
subsidizing them.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
But not even subsidizing. Think of SpaceX, right? How much
yeah,
money has Elon Musk made off SpaceX? Peter Thiel's Palantir programs have how much money they've made off of the American government that they're just handed.
yeah.
And so,
I'm with you there. I do not like corporate welfare, and that's one of the
yeah,
things I think we can agree on.
absolutely.
I think, corporate welfare and warfare, are both need to go down. That would be huge for the economy. Those two things I think could lift us a lot of people out of poverty. And we wouldn't have to be taxed as much if those things could be. But, I wanted to go back to one point. What was it?
Yeah.
It was, oh, yeah, got us out of the depression and, the high tax rates, and I agree with that, but what happens long term is it takes them a year or 2 or 3 to figure out the legal loopholes to get out of the country, to build a new, manufacturing, thing out, to elsewhere. And so it doesn't take long before it really starts eroding. It works the first year, second year, and third, fourth year, it just starts not working. And that's just, it's, it's not like, I'm disagreeing with you. I agree with you that it got us out of the depression. It's just not. It doesn't last, and it's just reality. So we have to figure out some other system because 90% doesn't work for more than a couple years.
See, and I'm not saying the 90% is my hard line.
I know. Yeah.
You asked where I was at,
Yeah. Yeah.
90%,
We don't
I'm
know what the
fine with it.
sweet spot is, but that does need to be.
If it was up to me, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk would be living in a cardboard box. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, I think your point actually you make a good point with that, but I think it's less of a point about them finding loopholes, and it ends up becoming more a problem of accountability.
Yeah. Why are the loopholes there to begin with? That should be, figured out because I guess you're talking accountability. That wouldn't really be accountability. That would be like fixing the system. But I
Oh,
don't know how you
see,
can keep them accountable because they're free to move to another country. They're free to exploit all the loopholes. I don't know that we can.
I
Our
would
our tax code is so complex that I don't think we can keep them accountable. There's so many loopholes and ways to exploit it.
but so here's the thing, when I say accountability, I'm not talking about accountability for the rich. Like we both expect the rich to be rich. They're gonna try to stay rich.
Yeah,
I don't expect a lion not to be a lion, right?
yeah,
Um, when I say accountability, I'm talking about our elected officials who we put there. Which kind of brings me to the point where you said, you blame the elected officials and you say, it's the officials, it's the elected officials and not the voters. Where I say I hold the voters accountable because there's a level where that accountability hits back and forth, right?
yeah. We elect the officials, so yeah,
Yes. I think we both agree that there's a wild amount of corruption that happens with these elected officials. Um, but I would say that, it's the voters doing harm to themselves is where
yeah,
the accountability needs to be held, right?
yeah. I just don't blame the voters because I read a book called The Righteous Mind. Forget the subtitle, but it's by Jonathan Haidt. He's a clinical psychologist, behavioral scientist, um, who traveled the world to figure out the values of the left, the values of the right, the religious, and everybody in between. And um, what he discovered through these studies is that people kind of are who they are, and you're either left or you're right. You're sort of born with these kind of predetermined values. And a lot of the twins reared apart research kind of fortifies that idea is that no matter what kind of environment they were raised in, so many of these twins come back and lead these parallel lives, despite the socioeconomic level that they grew up in, or the religion or politics that they're. So so all that to say, I don't blame the people because we are mostly who we are. I can't I've made so many good points to somebody on this and that side, and they just don't budge. Some curious people can be molded, but that is a personality type in and of itself. Curious people can move around, but by and large, I don't blame the people. It's mostly the politicians in power that are corrupt and get influenced by greed and these constants and really they're the ones that I blame. So, I don't blame you or anybody else for having different ideas than I do. Um, and I don't even care that you elected these guys that are the problem because I know our brains are sort of wired the way they are. And Jonathan Haidt says in The Righteous Mind and it's not about attaining the righteous mind. It's sort of like a tongue in cheek kind of poking fun at people who think they've got the righteous mind, that they're the source of truth and their ways are, but none of us know if we're 100% correct, and none of us have truth. We're just searching for truth. Oh, that's life. It's the exploration for truth, and so he said, we are largely who we are, so we've got to find ways and common ground and things to work on together because I'm not going to be able to change the other side. It's just stop trying to win arguments. Try to find the areas that you agree on and attack that. or bolster that. And that's why headlines of hope is so important for me, is because there's all these great ideas in the world. There's all these masterminds who have figured out how to save people's lives. And like, those are things that both sides can get behind and lay our dollar down and support. So why doesn't the news show those things? It's because the fear sells, and this hope it's just doesn't
Well,
get advertisers.
I want to point out something that I don't think you realized you did there, and this is what I was talking about earlier. So me, I look at the things that the MAGA base has done, the harm they've caused, and all this, and I get enraged. I get mad.
I do too.
And
I'm with you there.
well, but it goes back to that unregulated level of hope where you're like, you know what, people can be the way they are. It's okay. Like I am blown away with that level of optimism and seeing a better tomorrow that you have. Like that would have been a spot where normally I fall into my everything sucks and 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 you went the opposite. And my friend, that is not just a talent. That is actually like a God given skill to do.
It was survival. I mean, my wife and I, were, kind of on both ends of not both ends of the spectrum, but we have a lot of different beliefs, politically, and it almost split us up, and I had to completely shut the corporate news media out, or my family was gonna collapse. And so it was survival. I had to shut it off, and I had to figure something else out. And it just so happened that the Good News Network came across one of my social media feeds, and I just dove in and didn't look back. I shut everything else out. I turned the news off, TV. I just consumed good news for 5 years, and it completely flipped my script. I was like, wow, the humanity, the people, all these ideas, and nobody knows about these things. And of course, then I got into behavioral science of that, and that's because fear sells and hope doesn't. And I was like,
Very true.
yeah, that became my mission to like spread these ideas. And to go back to what you said a minute ago, unregulated hope can also cause problems if these greedy people are with their tech and energy and ideas are fracking and causing earthquakes, and we can't have unregulated hope. What we need to do, I think, regards to that, is get rid of the corporate shield that protects all these greedy rich people, from individual consequences and punishments. It's like this corporate shield kind of dissipates the punishment across the corporation, such that they pay like this little fee for insider trading or stealing millions from real people, and they have to pay this little fee um, to keep working. And really, the individual criminals within the organization need to be held responsible. And this has been done. It's called, clawback, and it's a legal term that South Korea actually did, where they made the individuals in the corporations responsible for restitution, as much as they could prove. But once you actually put some skin in the game, the rich will, the greedy, the big tech guys, they won't be able to be as corrupt because they'll
So
be responsible.
so what you're proposing is listening to all of the 80s and Adam Sandler movies that say that the CEOs are the bad guys instead of just rewarding them.
Not inherently bad guys. I know a lot of rich guys that are very, very cool, and some of the sweetest people on earth. And the vast majority of rich people that I've met just in my own life have been cool. I think we only hear the bad news. We hear the Elon Musks and the corporate and the corruption, because that's what they sell to us on the news. And we
Well,
get this idea that all these guys are bad people. But no, I just want to create accountability. I want to get rid of that corporate shield that, um, makes people corrupt, because they can. They can get away with it. They can use the corporate shield to
well,
fly under the radar.
that's what I meant by all the bad guys from the Adam Sandler movies who are always like, the corporate jerk who
Oh, yeah,
who
I thought you were
manipulates
saying I think they're all bad guys or something, but no, I
no, no,
misinterpreted that.
no,
Sorry.
all those 80s movies like Big and, all the bad guy's always the corporate one who's using the system to get them.
Wow.
Um, it's weird. It's almost like we should have listened to those movies back in the day.
Yeah. Who knew
I,
who knew Adam Sandler had it figured out all along?
yeah. I mean, I think he lost it along the way too, though. Yeah. I've seen the grown-up movies. Um, so I do have now. I would love, and this isn't my place. I would love to see you do a article, a story, something about you and your wife with the political differences and trying to find a way through that.
I'm in the works. I had somebody challenge me to do that a couple months back, and I've been working on it slowly. Type in with my thumbs, on my phone, and pecking away at it. But yeah, that I think a lot of people would resonate with that because a lot of people, you know, h- um, they don't see their family members at Thanksgiving because of these political battles, and it just breaks my heart. And I think my story could encourage a lot of people to just turn it off for a little while. I mean, you don't have to abandon politics and news and the things that it's still happening. Don't worry. Just because you turn it off, it's still gonna but you could take like a hiatus for a time. And I did for 5 years, and I can honestly say that saved my relationship because I came out of it with positive things to talk to my wife about. I mean, we were already arguing about all these things. And just to bring her a little bit of hope every day brought us closer. And at the end of it, it turned out to be a big hit on Substack. It's the piece. It's called Headlines of Hope. It's got my most stacks and likes and comments, and it goes semi viral every time I post it on a this or that
I,
chat.
one of those ones I always check out too. I always
Yeah.
check them out.
Oh, yeah, it's something that you go back to. It's not something that you just read because it's like a 30-minute read. And then within Headlines of Hope are a bunch of, headlines and the links to those stories. So to honestly go through it, it would take months to read every story. But really, it's just good to read through the headlines and kinda let it wash over you, just the hope, the ideas, just let your imagination run wild, and if you're really interested, you can click through and read the story. But I tell people just, like, bookmark it and come back to it whenever you need, like, a little pick me up, a little chicken soup for the soul. And I go back regularly when I'm down and I just need something. I'll go back to it and read some headlines. And
Now, so speaking of stuff that you wrote, we talked about. There's another one we talked about beforehand. Um, is it How to Shut Down a Storyteller? Is that the title?
yeah, yeah.
It is the best thing you have on that you've written, and like
Oh, thank you.
it is excellent. It is real. It is you put there. It is an exceptional work. It is absolutely an exceptional work. Um, like,
It's
so,
a
and
lifetime of stories. It's my dad's, like, story that he can never tell.
yeah,
It's
like, so I wrote down I have notes from because I was like going through and I'm trying to like figure out notes from it, and I'm like, your dad turned down the Miami scholarship,
yeah.
flunked out of Bible college in one semester, got fired for a ZZ Top piece, went to prison for moving weed for cancer patients. 4 institutions shut him up. It's like I have to ask, and I know, and this is why I actually asked if your dad was, his still around because I know what he's got dementia, or is it Alzheimer's?
Dementia.
Um, so everything, all these institutions that shut him down, that told him no, does he see what you're doing now, and is it like a victory for him?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every time I read them on my stories in my books, I can tell there's always that regret of, not being able to be a writer. And his dad turned him down, university, the newspaper that he wrote for. That's always in the background, But fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know how you look at it, his dementia is like making him forget a lot of those bad memories. And now what he does remember short term is that I've got this book and that he inspired me to write and he gave me, those skills and I'm telling his story. And so, that's kind of what he's left with, without his memory. He doesn't necessarily remember a lot of those bad memories. I had to piece that together from back in the day when he told me those stories. But but yeah, he passed the baton, and he is thankful that I get to live the life that he never got to, and I think that's what every parent wants for their kids is to create a better life. But he sacrificed a lot, and for the rest of y'all who I don't know, probably haven't read the story, his dad was a preacher, and he spent more time raising churches than he did raising my dad, who was a firstborn, and just had crazy high expectations. And my dad got a scholarship for this story he wrote called Buttons, and he would steal the trousers of those who had earned his contempt and write messages on their pants with needle and thread and write messages and they'd be some sort of some sort of wisdom or whatever that they needed to hear. And his English teacher took it upon herself to submit the story to a colleague at the University of Miami, and he got a scholarship and room and board and everything for it. But his dad thought it was a party school and wanted him to go to Bible college, and he made a rule that all the kids from here on have to go to 1 year Bible college before they consider anything else. And so he could have gone to Miami, but he'd have been disowned practically. They would have cut him off of support and everything. And so, anyways, he got shut down there, and he got a job at the newspaper and wrote this cool, worked there for years as a photographer, writer, and wrote this fun story about ZZ Top. And his manager loved it, but the owner, 1,000 miles away, read it and canned him like that, no questions asked, because he didn't think the small people of New Carlisle, Ohio, liked rock and roll. So he got fired from that job, and that job coincidentally was my first job as a paper boy. So it's just kind of full circle now.
Well, so I think full circle, you talk about him sewing buttons into trousers. He did one for you.
Yes. He okay, so I have to clarify that, and I probably should edit the piece. He wrote on my trousers. He lit a fire under my ass, that started my writing career. He didn't actually sew a message on
Well,
my trousers, but he wrote on my trousers,
I
so
don't think you need to clarify. I think it
maybe
makes
I won't
sense
change
and
it.
it
Maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I'll
yeah.
leave it how it is.
Um,
Somebody asked me if he actually wrote on my trousers, and I felt bad because I thought it was misleading, but
no. No, the idea is amazing, and for what it's worth, I'm going to let you deliver what it said, what you had that he put on in your trousers, because I think that is so first off, it sounds weird to say what he put in your trousers. I'm gonna let him I'm gonna let you clarify what
okay.
the button he sewed onto your trousers said, because I think that's a part that it gave me chills when I read, because I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
I felt it."
yeah. Yeah. He wrote, write my story, finish my story, and, and he didn't just, you know, tell me to do that. He taught me how to write songs and to sing and to be proud and sing loud and proud the words that I'd come up with, So he gave me the tools. He didn't just give me, the personality, the strengths that were inherent. He spent a lot of time with me, and he wasn't always, the best, father and dad and husband. He had a lot of flaws, a lot of flaws. But the one thing he gave me was time, attention. He was my baseball coach, and despite the flaws, he told me he loved me with his time. And yeah, so I give that back to my dad, and I love my dad. And at the end of the story, I say, I'll always be your paper boy. Um,
Yeah, yes. That was so I will say I'm the classic my dad went out for a pack of Newports and ended up in Atlanta with a Cambodian wife.
oh wow,
So so I didn't get like, so I grew up I was the fatherless kid, right? And so I hear things like that and like it just makes me wanna be a better dad too. Does that make sense? Like
yeah, totally.
I tried to give my kids what I didn't have. and it's
Is
just
your way intentional?
inspirational. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so inspirational because I think as a dad, I'm sure you understand this. I struggle sometimes with what I try to leave on my children. What like I don't want them to have my anxieties, my stresses, but I want them to know that I'm there for them. I'm no matter what, I'm there. Even if I disagree with whatever stupid thing they did, I'm there for them.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then even if they have your anxieties, because they're pretty close to you, they're 50% ish, and they're going to inherit some of that, just but as long as you do give them that time and attention, then they can deal with their anxieties. They figure out how to navigate stress. And,
well, 'cause it's all we're trying to do, right? Is to just make a better world for those tomorrow.
yeah, and that's a big part of my book. I got like the adventures of fatherhood and kids and my weirdness and ideas about the world. But then I'd say a good like 5-10% of the book is about peaceful parenting. Um, maybe 20-25 pages of the book. I kind of lay out my manifesto for what I think peaceful parenting is, and that's not being your kid's friend, even though that's half of it. It's not um, you know never saying the word no or Yes. Whatever the cockamamie ideas that some of the peaceful parenting ideas, promote, for me, it was making them a deal they couldn't refuse. It was even more discipline, I think, than the spanking and some of the things that are these short little, like, pop, 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 and that's the extent of your discipline, go to your room. It was making deals with them. It was writing down their behaviors on the fridge so that they'd be embarrassed when their neighbors and friends came over to see them. And each behavior was something we would work on for those 4 or 5 months it took for them to nip that bad behavior in the bud. It was really important that I only kept at the three bad behaviors, two or three, depending on how hard it was to defeat that behavior, because if you focus on any more than three, they'll fail. It's a 3x system. You get three X's, you go to bed right after dinner. Two X's is no dessert. One X is a warning because we all deserve, a second chance and a warning. But
Absolutely.
but we made family time so special. We'd read and we'd write, we'd watch movies, talk about them. That going to bed right after dinner was a big deal. That was a major punishment. Um, and so, but back to those three things. You focus on three things at a time, and they do that bad behavior. They get an X, two X's, three X's, and it really only took like 4 or 5 weeks for them to conquer each bad behavior, and we just put another one on the list. And for the all the myriad bad behaviors that fell outside of the three that we were working on, because there's a million, we would just kind of ignore them. We might put them into, timeout or something, which is mostly, didn't do squat. I didn't feel like timeout really did much, but we might put them in timeout if they did something outside of the three bad behaviors. But we really just focused on a couple, two or three things at a time. And when it got to listening, I erased the other two. It was just listening. Listening is really hard. That's like the number one. That's the hardest thing for even me to do. Today.
Agreed.
So I was the one thing that I focused on, and that took a long time. And
How old are your kids, if you don't mind me
they're
asking?
17 now, and
Wow.
I would say from the age of like three, when they're really able to like understand, two or three, we started, to about nine. We really like churned through and nipped just about every bad behavior in the bud, and to where one day they woke up and I just erased, the everything on the board and just put a heart. And I was like, we're going to do some other discipline system, but you basically graduated out of this. Like you never get X's, you get like one a week.
Yeah.
Um, now, after nine, whenever they had a bad behavior, whatever, things resurfaced, old behavior came back and everything, you do that. But I would just like take their phone or their video games away, just something that they really valued. And that became our discipline system. But by and large, like you don't have to spank, you don't have to hit your kids, and I applaud parents who do that ethically. I'm not like looking
Well,
down on
so
anybody.
I will say I was a kid who was beaten mercilessly. I was a kid that spanked and all that. Um, I can tell you, I don't know what behaviors I did that were wrong, but I could tell you I could take a punch pretty well, and,
Yeah.
I can get hit and then go right back to the behavior
Yeah.
because I could take a punch really well.
Yeah.
All it ever taught me was how to handle a hit.
How to handle people with bad behaviors. You hit them.
Yeah,
And so some parents are like, "Hey, stop hitting your sister." Whack. Well,
yeah.
what does that teach them?
So so I think I have a 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. My daughter is 11, and I think each of them I've only spanked one time only. And, my son, I spanked him once because he was gonna get hurt. He was trying to
Yeah.
jump over the
Yeah.
stairwell,
And I
and it
agree with
wasn't
that.
even a spank.
I think,
I just
yeah.
needed his attention.
Yeah.
But I would be one of those people that, maybe you call it new age parenting, where I don't think that corporal punishment works for kids.
I think,
Um,
there's a certain, percentage of people who have this, like, epigenetic switch, this trigger where when you hit them, it flips this switch and makes them violent, but we don't have to be creating these violent kids. Some people can take it, and some parents, my uncle Dan, I applaud him. He was able to ethically spank, and he raised angels. These three girls are just wonderful, and he was able to do it. But his spank was more like a ritual. It was like, I have to do this, honey, because you did this, and there are consequences to your behavior. And pat, pat, pat. But then for me, it's like that's not really doing much. Like that's not. I mean,
yeah, you're not really changing a
you're
behavior.
not
You're
really
you're giving an
I think what
expectation
you
to it.
what you were really doing was you were, having a conversation about it before the spank and talking about it, but still, it's almost like a little spank. I asked my parents to spank me once because I didn't wanna go into timeout. There was company, there was fun stuff happening. I was like, "Let's just get this over with. Just spank me so I can move on with my day." 'Cause,
Yeah.
you can live with it. You can learn to live with it, and it doesn't teach you anything. And, you need to make, like, give them actual consequences to bad behaviors, deals that they can't refuse. Oh, here's the other thing. Put the monkey on the doctor's back. I shifted almost all the blame from our punishments onto the doctor because I was like, "Okay, kids, the doctor is our boss. Every parent has to listen to the doctor. So this is why you have to eat your broccoli. You are throwing a temper tantrum, you need to go to bed early because the doctor says you're just, sleep deprived. You need to get a little longer rest." And so you have these bad behaviors because you're just sleep deprived, and in the morning you wake up fresh, and but it's the doctor that's prescribing all these punishments. And as the doctor said, you had to eat your broccoli, or else you'll get sick. And if you get sick, we'll start spending our money on your sickness and not your toys. So that's going to decrease your toy budget. Don't eat your broccoli. Doctor said. So put the monkey on the doctor as much as you can. Our kids hated the doctor for a little while until they realized the doctor was making sense. But yeah, there's a massive part of my book called Peaceful Parenting. It talks through all these tips and tools that can really nip bad behaviors in the bud quickly. And eventually, your kids kind of get used to the system, such that like what took 5 and 6 weeks to conquer is like they're like, okay, I get it. I can't do this thing anymore, and like, it really expedites. Once you've gone through this system, the three X's and listing the behaviors out for everybody to see, it does not take long for them to figure it out and get better.
I mean, so I highly recommend. I'm gonna read your book. Do you have it? Is it on Amazon? Is it? I know you
Everywhere.
posted in your.
I
You have
used
the link
Ingram
on your
Spark.
stories.
I used Ingram Spark, and they distribute it all over the world. All the major and minor distributors. Just look up your favorite small, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, just all the one, Walmart, Amazon, the devil over at Amazon will sell it to you if you want. That's where I'll make most of my money. So I kind of like the reviews on Amazon, but I understand a lot of people won't, want to buy from there. But yeah, just look up your favorite reseller and it should be there. It's called
I will.
Fraternal Fraternal like Eternal Youth, but Fraternal Youth like my twins, boy girl twins. Fatherhood Fails and Other Tales with Boy Girl Twins. But if you just search Fraternal Youth and you can find it.
I will absolutely look it up. I encourage everybody else to do the same. I've stolen you for almost for actually over an hour now, Darby. So I want to
That's it.
thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It was this was I needed this. I thank you. I genuinely I needed that hope.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody, and please do check out Headlines of Hope. That's the one piece. It's my magnum opus, and it's not even most of the content's not even mine. It's just the stuff that I researched, and I put silly little jokes and commentary with the headlines just to make it fun, and I put Far Side cartoons to pair with some of the stories. But it's what I want to leave the world. It's my legacy, and it's what brings my kids a smile, just knowing that their dad believes in the world, and that things are getting better, and we can do this if we all can just pick a cause, like pick one or two causes. There's like 100+ stories in this piece that you can latch onto. Just find whatever you vibe with and support it. If you can't support it fiscally, restack it, share the idea, and yeah, you really make a difference that way. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
no,
what side you're on. We can all support good ideas. There's so many beautiful people, ordinary people with extraordinary ideas that we can support. So that's my
I
message. What I want to leave you.
I would absolutely say, personally, I appreciate it. I've been actively trying to work to be a little more hopeful and be a little more optimistic as of late. So having you here was absolutely an honor, sir. Thank you. Um,
And doesn't
I
mean you can't, be a realist, and you don't have to abandon politics, and you can be a pessimist and devil's advocate, but just balance. Just find the balance. That's all I'm saying.
well, and I think that's the most important part, and you do that exceptionally well, sir. Um, but again, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have to do this again sometime.
Love to.
Um,
Love to. Thank you all for joining us. For listening.
but thank you, everybody else. All of you have a great night, and as always, stay loud, stay informed, stay dangerous.